Before I give you my take on education, the system, colleges and universities as a whole, here's what some famous people have to say about it.
There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school.
You know, we ask kids that are 16 to 18 years old to make $100,000 debt decisions when they go off to university. And they're not prepared for that. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They just assume, okay, I'm going to pay 4 years of education at $25,000 a pop, and when I come out the other side, somehow I'll be able to pay it back.
Right.
That's not how life works anymore.
Well, oftentimes business education today, and I see it all the time, kids come out of college, the best colleges, Wharton and Harvard and Stanford and some of the great business schools, and they'll come out and they won't have practical experience. There's too many case studies that aren't practical.
The entire purpose of a good university is to give you a foundation to fail, not a foundation to get an A. And if you graduate from college with straight A's, you have to do some serious soul searching as to why you chose to spend your time doing that.
I think having the flexibility to explore a lot of different things, which you can do when you're in college, which is one of the amazing things about being in college, is you can work on all these hobbies and code a lot of stuff and try a lot of different things. It's this amazing flexibility that I think most people take for granted. And once you decide, okay, I'm going to start a company and I'm going to do it with someone else, you immediately now need to convince someone else if you want to change your mind on something. And I think people really undervalue the option value and flexibility.
You can say it's a consumption good, like college is a 4-year party.
And so when you walk into a boardroom with a bunch of guys in suits who all went to college, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, because they read a bunch of words. I've lived a bunch of life.
Well, that's true. Their law degree doesn't intimidate you. And education is very good at training people to do the same things that we've done over and over again.
I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, if you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Regardless of anything I've said in this video, I am not against education. No, do not get me wrong. If anything, I think that education is extremely important. Perhaps the most important investment a person can make in their life. In fact, the beautiful things about the world around us wouldn't exist without education. Yes, that spectacular building, that long bridge, that phone you're using, that medicine you take when you get sick, they are all possible because of innovation. And innovation is only possible because somebody you'll probably never meet stayed in a room and studied like the weird little nerd they are. So, education is really important and I have nothing against it. What I am against, however, is the system. The system that puts children in prison-like schools and unleashes the worst on them. It takes up most of their youth, and eventually when they are done and released into the world, they are not even able to make a decent living for themselves. They can't select a mate and lack the basic life skills that they should have at least been equipped with at school.
In fact, I think a lot of things people learn are probably there's no point in learning them, because they never use them in the future. Because a lot of kids are just in school kind of puzzled as to why they're there.
A lot of people follow. A lot of people are followers. Generally, if not, we'd have problems. We have too many entrepreneurs. We have too many successful people. Like, look how many people go through business classes. If everything you needed was in that actual business class, in that book, it'd be too many successful business people. How many people graduate? Matter of fact, the professor wouldn't have the time to sit there and teach you. That knows this book damn near verbatim, page by page, he knows it, right?
Because he be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, he too busy. I'm doing way too much right now because I got the palm trees and we selling so much stuff that I'm doing that I ain't quite got time to teach no motherfucking class right now because I'm winning.
The A students work for the B students, the C students run the businesses, and the D students dedicate the buildings.
What I am particularly against is how we as Africans perceive education. Not as a way to learn, grow, build things and become better people, but as a means of escaping poverty, gaining wealth, becoming better than everyone else and bragging about it at every big enough gathering. I am against the ideologies that are sold to children when they are so young that they don't even know what life is about. They don't know what kind of life is being set up for them, and more importantly, They don't know whether it is a life that they will want for themselves.
They're eating children!
What is so great about plants? I never had a plant.
They finally have found a way to make us some real money around.
And so they end up to be bitter old men who act in offices and can't help but think that life could have gone differently for them had they made different choices. If only they had listened to themselves instead of following what everybody told them to do like a fucking little child. Another feather in the wind. I'm against how parents, relatives, society as a whole, and teachers mostly, spoke these things into our minds that even now, years later, it's hard to take them out. It's hard to get rid of them. You all know those high school or primary school teachers who are always saying things like, "You're such a disgrace. If you keep this up, you'll be a failure your entire life. You'll never be anything of worth if you keep getting such low scores. Who will want to hire you with such poor performance in school?"
I also have a family member whose mother would beat him up because he liked drawing. So anytime he's at home, he would draw bicycles, motorbikes and cars. And the mother would beat him and tell him, "Where would these funny things take you?" But today, the guy is a graphic designer in a leading media company in Kenya.
Or something like, "If you fail your KCPE or KCSE, that's it. Your life is over. You will be a failure your entire life." Or, "You idiot. How much of a fool are you that you score such low marks in a math test? Is social studies a subject to fail like that? Maybe you should. Just shut the fuck up. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're a failure." What is wrong with these people? Who do they think they are? As a sensible, full-grown adult, you cannot be saying these things to children. You can't be saying these things to anyone. And you might mean it in a good way, if that makes sense. But you should really think about the impact those words are going to have on a child's life before you say them. You don't know how it feels to wake up one day and realize that your whole life has been a lie. All through your life, despite having the right to do so, you have never really been in control. That you have always been just a passenger in the back seat of a bus that is your life. The resentment that creates within you for the people at the front seat, the conductor, the driver, or whoever was steering that wheel at different points in your life is incomprehensible. You just lose that connection with your parents, society, and the people around you. And what's worse is that you can't even say anything about it because deep down, you know that their intentions were somewhat pure. They wanted the best for you. But here's the twist. Now that you realize this, you know that they wanted what they thought was best for you and never asked what you thought was best for you. Or is it that you never thought that your opinion for what's best for your life was really valid? That's what it really is. You never stepped up for yourself. And hence, you ended up being what they wanted you to be. So you're not really angry at your parents, society, or your teachers. You're angry at yourself for not making your own decisions.
School! I like school! School?
Yes, school.
Go to school, don't go to school, I don't care.
Go!
Go to school.
School?
I've never skipped a second of school in my whole life.
And where has that gotten you?
Which is why I try to emphasize that unless you're going to do a really marketable degree, and I mean really marketable, things like computer science, pharmacy, law, I'm not really sure about engineering in Kenya anymore. And you're doing it in a university that will actually equip you with the skills to become really good at that degree, because most universities in Kenya just take your fees and offer very little in return. You'll be an engineer being filled up with the theory aspect and never learning anything practical. You don't want to be there. 4 years of your life is too much to give away like that. So unless your degree and university fit the above requirements, don't even bother going to it. You're better off going to college and learning a practical skill that might actually be useful. Besides, Nowadays, there's tons of free courses online which anyone with a phone and internet connection can access. However, as Zuckerberg said,
I think explore what you want to do before committing is really like the key thing, and keep yourself flexible. And no, I think that's. I agree. Yeah.
There are some benefits of going to college and university. 1. Network of people there. Perhaps the most important thing about going to college or universities. Universities, especially in Kenya, have the highest population of the most intelligent young minds in the country. Think about it. To even qualify for university, you need at least a C+. And I know you are sitting there thinking, well, they are only book smart, we are street smart. Shut the fuck up. Intelligence and success are directly correlated. Some level of intelligence at least. You're not starting a successful long-term business if you're stupid. Great minds, great entrepreneurs, great singers, artists, dancers, actors, people who are going to change the world. You are most likely going to meet them there, as opposed to remaining in a small village or neighborhood and seeing everyone you've known as you've grown up. So if anything, at least try to know people while you're there. Join a club, play a sport, do something that will allow you to offer value to people and receive value back. Number 2, mindset and way of thinking. This is pretty obvious, but let me break it down for you. If you've been to university, when you go back home and you meet your buddy or high school classmate who never went there, soon enough you realize that you people no longer think the same way. It's nothing personal, it's just that the exposure you've had is something that they never got while staying in their local neighborhood or small town. If you're from big cities and you actually live in the city, not ghetto, it might be different for you, but there is something about it that changes your way of thinking. Not that you can't get it from anywhere else or from meeting the right people, but it still counts as an added advantage. Number 3, opportunities. Big companies target young minds because that's where innovative ideas are likely to come from. The opportunities you might find here, if you seek them out, are not likely going to be better than the ones you might find if you put yourself around people who are where you want to be. Regardless, they are still better than the ones you will find if you stayed in your village or small town. Let's just say that it gives you better exposure if you didn't have that before. Number 4, freedom. If you're that kid whose parents always give a hard time and never allow you to go out and explore things, university is probably the best place for you. You can explore what you want to do without having the pressure from your parents to be something they want. Most people tend to abuse this new gained freedom and do things that, well, that's a story for another time. Other than that, I think there is no need to be in university. Feel free to comment down below any other perks or benefits that you feel that I might have left out. Anybody who's been in a Kenyan university can tell you that education is not the main activity that happens there. So what's really happening in colleges and universities, you might wonder. What's my daughter, my son, my sister, my brother, nephew, niece, granddaughter, grandson really doing in university if she's not studying most of the time? The answer to this question is very simple. What happens when you put a bunch of young adults from different walks of life in a place with no supervision whatsoever, where they have more free time than they know what to do with, and no one can tell them what they can or can't do? Well,
college is a socially acceptable way for people to do drugs, party, and have ridiculous amounts of sex. For the women especially, that's what the fuck they do when they go to college, bro. If a girl says, I want to go to college and get the experience, she wants to be a...
College girls, bro, are no better than OnlyFans girls. OnlyFans girls are all open, giving you the front view of what they're doing. College girls, they'll do it. The same shit or even worse, but behind the scenes where you can't see anything at all. But college girls, bro, most of them are.
Especially if they go to a big party university and they're joining a sorority or some shit like that, bro. Fuck it. It's a wrap. You're trying to join a sorority, it's a wrap. Break up with her, it's over, bro.
And maybe your parents sitting there and saying, my daughter wouldn't. She's such a good girl. My son is so disciplined. He will never. Madam, you do not know your children. That daughter you think is so sweet has probably slept with half the campus by the time you're watching this. And that's assuming that your fellow male friends are not in her DMs trying to take her out for some boozy choma. But you are not ready for that topic. You might be wondering what to do if university is a lie and college is not what people set it out to be. What do you do now that you finished high school and are looking to find out what you want to do in life? Lucky for you, I've got you covered.